Hey guys, welcome to my latest Walking Dead review. I feel the need to really open this with, hey, all you cool cats and kittens, but I'll leave that to Carol Baskin, that bitch. Anyway, so this was the tower. This was the last episode we have until the whenever they get around to being able to make and finalize the season finale. As we saw with this, there is a lot that they've already shot, but they have to go back and fix a bunch of things in post, do some added scenes and added shoots. So as of right now, this is the last episode of The Walking Dead we have for an indeterminate amount of time. So, yay. I had some good points with this episode, and there were some very horrible points. And it's one of those things where this episode in particular, was one where they're trying to cram in some character development, which is great. I really think this show needs character development. I've touted that's part of my problem for the last few seasons, is that they don't have enough character development. But the problem here, again, that this show has had is the fact that there are so many characters now that they have added that they don't have enough time to give them the time they need to develop and to grow. This was the heartwarming episode of The Walking Dead, and it just was really scattered. It's not as bad as some of them, but it almost feels like there's tacked on scenes, like the scene with Carol and in the car, they were getting the wiring. That felt really tacked on to me. Like they just kind of decided to shove that in there. There was really nothing, she got her moment, and she was still, sad, depressed Carol. And I get it, but again, I like the fact that she was told there, we've heard all the stories of you. You're a legend. And that's the truth. That's Carol. Carol's a legend. Carol's a badass. And I hope to God that this gives her, that's it for this sappy, mopey Carol stuff that we've been having, because Carol needs to stay Carol. And I don't like seeing her defeated. That's not her character at all. So the other scene that there was in this that we were supposed to be some development was with Daryl and Judith. And it was a nice scene and everything, but I couldn't help thinking, what if it had been Carl talking to his sister? It would have had so much more resonance and just, heart to it, I think, if it had been, if Carl if they hadn't killed off Chandler Riggs and they kept him on, I think that would have been a beautiful scene for him and his sister, especially with his, with Rick supposedly dead. That would have been a wonderful scene between the two of them. I like that they gave that to Daryl. He's, as although this episode again was cramming in character development, so Negan was busy with dealing with his stuff with Alpha's daughter, and which was, again, one of the best scenes. Again, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, forever. He makes everything he's in better. But I couldn't help but thinking about Carl again and thinking how it would have been a really beautiful scene for him and Judith to have. Now, please tell me if I am wrong here. Has she not told anybody that there's a possibility that Rick is alive? Because that's kind of what I got from that scene. Daryl had no idea. She kind of just said that Michonne went off with people she was helping. And there was no mention of, hey, my dad might be alive, or the brave man might be alive. That's why she really left. It was more, she's just off helping people, which would piss me off if I was, part of her group. Why the hell is she helping other people when we're at this effed right now and she knows we're this screwed? Again, I don't get it. That's just weird. But it was a good scene to see. It's nice that Daryl having a moment with little ass kicker. But still can't help but think about Carl. Also, the show needs to stop killing fucking horses. Again, what the hell with the horse death. We're just going to blow them up now because it's funny. The princess stuff was cute, but stupid. I didn't like it. I thought it just was boring to me. I know that a lot of people that have read the comics, love the character and everything, but it just seemed oddly weird and tacked on. I don't know. It just didn't feel right. It felt kind of forced. Like we're supposed to immediately fall in love with this character, but they made her so cartoony. And I get that it's a comic book, but it's very strange. So yeah, I wasn't a fan. I'm not a fan yet. Apparently it was funny though that they're having to ride bicycles now, I guess. But that just seemed weird and kind of fillery. They could have done a lot more with the time they used on that. I get having to introduce her as a character, but I have to tell everybody, and this is going to piss a lot of people off if you're out there that are fans, but I really don't like Beta. It's no slight against the actor, but the character is just, to me, it's boring. It's one of the, it just is annoying. The whole thing is just drawn out. It seems so drawn out. And every time they flash back to the Horde and with Beta, I'm like, why are we keeping? We know they're coming. We get it. They're coming. They know. We get it. But he may be the worst villain the show has had, and that includes the cannibals. Remember the cannibals that we had that were led by Denise Crosby? RIP, R.I.P. Denise Crosby character. I don't even know if we had a name for you. I think we did, but I can't remember it right now. At this point, it's just annoying and stupid. And the whole thing, now with talking with Judith after the fact that they, Daryl just, did his thing with his crossbow to the lone scout. I had at this point, wouldn't you think, with all the things the Whisperers have done, that Judith wouldn't be so heart-wrenching? I know she's a kid, and I get that, everything, I get it. But at the same time, she's grown up in this world, and she's seen what these people do. And the fact that they've, slaughtered a lot of her friends and caused the death of a lot of people that she cares about, why would she give two craps about if the body is left there? Michonne would have instilled that in her, I think, that, the bad people are the bad people. That just felt weird. I get that it was some sort of bridge to have her talk to Daryl and everything, but it made no sense to me. You would think that even with her being a kid, at this point, she would no longer care, about the Whisperers because they're bad and they want to kill you. The other thing that I'm still trying to figure this out is they are now in a hospital, and it's a concrete building, right? Tall. It's called the Tower. The episode's even named the Tower over the name of the place that they're staying at. And I'm trying to figure out why, after the last time, and they wouldn't be firebombing the living shit out of the Horde. Just cannoning things of gasoline or whatever they can throw that's flammable and setting it all on fire. Because eventually it burns out. You can do a barricade and just burn the hell out of them. Burn the whole thing. They'll catch fire pretty quick and you'll kill off all the Whisperers in there too. I'm trying to figure out why that isn't a strategy. Tell me if you think I'm crazy, but I think that's a good way to take care of them. So that's basically this episode. It was, again, splintered into 4 or 5 different things, because again, we have so many characters that, and again, we're wasting time on things that don't need to be wasted on. Again, with the Horde walking and shambling and all of the crap with Beta that leads to really nowhere. He's sort of, he's just a menace. They haven't, the whole thing with him being, it would have been nice to see a flashback. He's a country singer. Why couldn't we have a flashback of him prior to all of this? How did this happen to him? Why did he end up there? Instead, we just have a shambling, stalker monster guy, basically, that he's turned into with no, there's nothing to keep your interest. Now, is that supposed to mean like with him being a whisperer and he's been around the dead so much, that's who he is now? I get that he's hearing the voices and all of that, but good villains have some sort of character, again, to the character part. That's why Alpha was interesting. We got what led to her being that way. We got her backstory. We got character for her. Negan. The reason Negan is so great is that Jeffrey Dean Morgan and the comic itself just imbued him with a lot of character. But this stuff with Beta, there's nothing for me to latch on to really be invested or care about that character at all, other than he's a shambling, monster man leading his horde. That's it. And that's disappointing, because the good villains you remember and you have an interest in because they're interesting and they have a character to them, and just there's none here. The sneak preview surprise Maggie is coming. We knew this was coming. It was good of them to kind of tease us with that and show us what's happening. That was good stuff. And that was interesting because it shows that this series, in that little 2.5 minute preview, if you edit and do it well, you can put together in just 2.5 minutes something that's more compelling than this entire episode. And it's not just because of the Maggie part. It's because that was cut really well, and it was neat to see Gabriel, telling the kids the whole fist metaphor, and it just was really well done. Why couldn't they have been doing this throughout the entire season, where you have the stories laid out well and you give enough time to people instead of just giving us more shambling, horde walking, and wasting time on things that make no sense? That to me is part of the problem. And this isn't the first time this has happened. This isn't the series has had this issue for a few seasons now. Ever since Alexandria kind of started, it's been when they got there, it's really kind of become this slog of a half a season, then it picks up, and then it goes back down, and then it picks up again for the finale. And that's kind of what we got here. But the problem now is that which may not be named has caused a delay. And it's a big delay, most likely going to be months at this point, before they can actually get the finale for the season put together. And it's already delayed. They're not going to be releasing Baby Walking Dead until later this year either. So everything's delayed. Now, the question is this episode and where they left off? Now, I'm not talking about the 2.5 minute preview, even though that's literally why they did that. They probably had one guy shoot Lauren Cohen looking up after reading that in a field somewhere 6 feet apart, so they could get that shot to add in there to be like, yeah, look, everybody, Maggie's coming back. Please come back when we return for this episode in 4 months. Or 5 months, 6 months, who knows? But the question is, if you take away that 2.5 minute preview with just this episode, was this enough to make you remember what happened and to tune back in when this finale airs? That's my question. With what, with this being the literal same thing over and over again with how they've been doing these finales and these, lead ups and this kind of a thing where they're trapped again and blah, blah, blah. Is this enough? Because part of the problem is, again, we don't have enough time with these characters to really appreciate them and get more development. They cram things in because they waste time with other things that aren't what are interesting about this show. And right now, with everything going on in the world and where we're at, again, I come back, I mentioned this in the last stream. We go into these shows to escape and to get uplifted and to find something to cheer for and root for in a time where we need it. And right now, this show is not. It's really hard for it because in the series there's a virus going around, and that's what's caused this all. So it's already got that against it. So you really have to rely on the character that are in your show. The characters are what's going to draw people in. That's what's supposed to make this interesting. And right now, because they have scattered this and they've crammed so much in, not development wise, but people wise into the show, that everything has suffered because of it. And they've added these new characters in the place of ones that were established that we've been with for a long time. And we just aren't invested. Again, I like I said in that last stream, tell me two things about Magda and Yumiko that are not, it's, they're girlfriends. They were, and she was a lawyer and she was a felon. And that's it. Tell me something about them that doesn't have anything to do with that. You can't, because we haven't been given anything else really, other than she's a tough broad, and they're both tough broads. That's it. There's no development. and that's what sucks. That's kind of what the one thing about the princess thing, you had her, she actually is kind of too much in one, because they kind of crammed her into it. I don't know. It's just funny that she's almost too much of a character already with one episode, and it's kind of an unbalanced thing with them. So that's where we're at with this episode. This was a better episode, I guess. It kind of had to be, because it's the lead up. It's the penultimate episode, if I can say that word today. So it kind of had to be good. But yeah, right now, I kind of am worried about Walking Dead. AMC's kind of invested too much into it at this point to have it fail. It's too big to fail, kind of. It's Enron at this point. It's Enron for AMC. And it's going to be interesting to see how many people tune back in when this finale airs. Just as a heads up too, I've actually been sent the first couple of episodes of Baby Walking Dead. I haven't watched it yet. I've kind of held off. And good thing, because now they've embargoed any kind of thing that I could say about it, because they've delayed it again. So that's going to be later, kind of few months, I guess, I'll be able to talk about it. But yeah, they've filmed it. There's episodes filmed for Baby Walking Dead, and we can't watch them because they aren't. Although I think that's kind of stupid, because right now would be a good time for them to bring that in. People are stuck at home. Give them something to watch. It's not like this is a feature film. The Baby Walking Dead isn't a feature film. It's a limited run series. You would think that now would be the time to air that, but AMC has made the choice not to. It's very strange. Very, very weird to me that that's the case, but what else? I'm not AMC. So I think that's a poor choice. I think they would be smart to go ahead and air that so it keeps the interest in The Walking Dead, but that's just me. That's not my choice to make. So You got me. I don't know why they're making that decision. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If I don't choke to death. And so I won't have another Walking Dead one for you because we won't have Walking Dead for a while. Fear the Walking Dead, that's still on. I don't think it's been canceled. I haven't heard anything, so who knows when that'll air. But I will be back next week with something else for you. I'll be on and be chatting. Also, be sure to check out Fangirl Radio / YouTube, Fangirl Radio on iTunes and SoundCloud. Next week, I will be having the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Joe Bob Briggs from The Last Drive-In, actual name John Bloom. He is a wonderful author, writer, satirist, and just the man who kept the drive-in alive. And he is a legend. He will be on as our guest. Hopefully I will be doing another CoronaCon episode for you guys too. So we'll see if I can get a live stream of that going again. That was really fun. You can check out the first one we did with artist Alexander Hamilton. That's his name. And Mr. Mark Meir, Commander Shepard from Mass Effect. That is on Fangirl Magazine on YouTube. And Fangirl Radio you can find on iTunes, SoundCloud. That has a wonderful back catalog over the years where I've interviewed many people from The Walking Dead, including Greg Nicotero a few times. And we've had Vincent D'Onofrio on. We've had Benedict Cumberbatch. A few of the Doctor Who's have been on there. So feel free to listen to that. That's something fun for you to do while we're all still homebound. There's also some reviews and videos and things on our YouTube channel for you to watch too. So keep keeping on, spread the word, not the virus. And I'll be back next week with something else for you. I'll make sure it's fun and interesting, and I'll be able to answer questions as well if you have questions about it. Maybe doing some classic TV series reviews for you, because I've been dipping back into the old school stuff like The Night Stalker, the original, and Dark Shadows and things like that. So be sure to tune in. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much. Be safe. Stay home. Just be safe with your family. Watch TV. Play video games. Read books. Now's the time to do that. And, stay safe. And I'll see you next week. Bye.